is Jawann. I'm from Ewing, New Jersey. When I was 5 years old, my mom got to this point in the Bible. I remember it was Leviticus 18:22, where it said, "Thou shalt not lie with another man." It's a sin. And I remember stopping my mom and just being like, why can't two men lie together? After she collected herself, her response was just, it's a sin. If you do it, you're going to go to hell. So don't do it. Man and woman, that's how it's always been, and that's how it's supposed to be. About 11 years later, I turned 16, and prior to that, I had been trying to get into this program. It was called Princeton University Preparatory Program, where they take a bunch of students that, really excel academically, but don't really have the finances to get into any kind of college. One of the classes I remember taking was personal development. The prompt was just tell us about you, everything about you. And I took that a bit too far because I told everything about me, including that I apparently liked both women and men. And I came out as bisexual in my paper. After the paper was read, it got passed around. It was a good thing, mainly because there was so much support, you could tell. So, taking that, I decided that I was going to bring my paper home and I was going to show my grandmother. I gave my grandmother the paper. I was like, hey, Mama, I got really good grade on this and I think you should read it. I'm going to go get some Chinese food. I'll be back and let me know what you think when I come back. So she waves and she's like, all right, okay, whatever. So just set it on the table. Get my food, I'm walking back home. I'm shivering and sweating and, I get home, I open the door, I see my grandmother still in the kitchen and she's like, do you have something to tell me? And I'm like, couldn't actually say anything back. And she's like, you hear me talking to you? Are you gay? You're gay, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I like women too, which was a complete lie. But I felt that if I came out as bisexual, it would be less of a blow. My grandmother saw right through that and was like, you're gay. And I could see this inner happiness actually coming from my turmoil. She was just like, I'm gonna tell everyone about you. I'm gonna call your mom. I'm gonna tell your mom. I'm gonna tell your brother. I can't wait. She was actually enjoying, my pain. So my mom comes over. She's already suspicious. She doesn't know what's going on. She sits down in the living room. I sit down. My grandmother sits down, and she just crosses her arms, and she's like, Jawann, don't you have something to tell her? And I'm like, so she's tormenting me, coaxing it out of me. And I'm like, well, Mom, I like women and I like men too. And she just burst into tears because she obviously saw right through that. I'm more than sure that she flashed back to when I was 5. My mom's like, are you sure? What do you mean? You can't be gay. She's like, you're gonna go to hell. That was her first reaction. My grandmother gets up and she's like, all right, Lewa, you can go now. I'm gonna make him tell his brother as well. So I'll give you a call later and we'll talk about this. I can't wait to tell everyone else. I knew the next person that was gonna come home was my grandfather. He comes home at 6 o'clock on the dot. My grandmother calls me back. Your grandfather's home. You gotta tell him too. He's like, what do you have to tell me? What is it? And I go, well, I think I like men too, and I like women. He was just like, oh, you're going through a phase. You're not a sissy. Back in my day, we didn't have sissies. We didn't play with sissies. He completely dismissed it as if I didn't exist. That part of me didn't exist. I didn't know what else to think. I'm waiting for my brother to go home. I know he's gonna be, the last person that I'm going to have to face, through this day of just complete regret. Here he comes through the door, and my brother is there and he's looking at me weirdly. I didn't have the same playful look in my eyes that I typically do whenever we interact. She's like, all right, Jawann, what do you have to tell him? What do you have to tell your brother? And at this point, I was already drained. I couldn't put up a fight anymore, and I was just like, I like women and men. I'm bisexual. And he just sat there, and after a really, really long pause, my grandmother asks him, so is that it? don't you have something to say to him? Are you upset? What do you feel right now? And he's like, he likes men too. Okay, and like, is that it? I'm gonna go upstairs now. My brothers obviously stood out because it was just what I needed. Like, it was someone who just could care less, still accepted me, you know, for who I was, for who I liked, and it didn't faze him at all. My grandmother, all I can say was she just was never going to understand, and there was nothing that I could do to change that. So I just came to terms with it, and I didn't try and change her. I didn't try and bring her into my world because there was no room for her. It was my senior year, I believe. I asked my mom for boots that had like a little heel on them. I wanted to be Beyonce for Halloween, and my mom didn't necessarily know what like she didn't really know at all. But I was just, Mom, let me just borrow your shoes. No, I want to borrow those over there, the black ones. And she's like, okay, all right. So she gave them to me. It's just that level of support, you know. Everything has been nothing but support from my brother, from my mom. You know, they're my family.